Putting the do not disturb sign on your cabin door, well, that doesn't always mean that the room steward is still not going to come into your room. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. So today we're going to talk about the do not disturb sign on your cabin door and whether or not that means the room steward is still going to come in your room or not, because there actually is a case where even with that sign, the room steward will still come into your room. Now, the reason we're talking about this today is because a comment that was written in to Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Hill, a passenger that was upset that they had the snoozing, the do not disturb sign on their cabin door. There was a knock at their door. They didn't answer the door, and the room steward still came inside the room, and they were upset. They were mad. They said, how would you feel if you had the sign out and the cabin steward just comes on in the room anyway? Well, there's a little more to this story. There are reasons why the cabin steward would still come into your room. But first, let's take a look at the comment. How would you like it if the cabin cleaner walked in on you? Our cleaner knocked and walked in on us, ignoring the do not disturb sign that we had out. This was not acceptable. We took away the gratuity and gave it to other crew people. Is this how Carnival trains their workers? Now, normally I would do this kind of comment on Saturday. Perfect for what a every cruiser wants video. But I think this one deserves its own video because there are reasons for this. There are policies for this. There are safety measures in place that causes this sort of thing to happen. So there are two door tags inside a Carnival Cruise cabin. One says snoozing, one says cruising. Put the snoozing one out, that's the equivalent to do not disturb. Cruising is the equivalent to, hey, I'm out enjoying the ship, come in and please clean my cabin. And according to these folks, they had their snoozing sign out. The cabin steward came, knocked on their door. When they didn't answer, he just cruised right on in. But why did he just cruise right on in? Because that is the part of the story they leave out. They want to write in the comment, but they don't want to write in the whole story. So we're going to give you the whole story, the whole reason why. See, you may not know that cruise lines have a policy. They have a safety policy in place that says the room stewards need to see you at least once every 24 hours. Now, that could simply be a hello in the hallway. They could see you coming and going from your cabin. It could be the fact that they've been into your room, cleaned it, and verified, hey, they are not in here. They are obviously out about on the ship. But they need to have some type of interaction with you at least once every 24 hours. They even have a checklist, has your name on it. And once they verified your existence, they put a check by your name that says, hey, I have seen them. I acknowledge that at least nothing bad has happened to them that I am aware of in the last 24 hours. So if you hang the do not disturb sign on your door and the cabin steward does not see you for a 24-hour period, has zero interaction with you, your cabin, anything that they can put a little check by your name, it triggers a warning. It triggers a, hey, we need to check on this passenger. We need to do a health and welfare, a safety check on this passenger. So what they left out of the story is this do not disturb sign had been on the door for 24 hours. The cabin steward had not seen these passengers for 24 hours. So once that happened, it was, hey, I have not seen these folks for 24 hours. We need to do a health and welfare check on them. So yes, somebody knocked on their door. Was it the cabin steward? It was. But it was not only the cabin steward. No. The floor supervisor was also with the cabin steward because it requires there be two people when they knock on the door, just in case something has happened, just in case some type of assistance is needed. So the cabin steward did knock on the door. He waited. When nobody answered the door, both the cabin steward and the floor supervisor did enter the room to check on the health and welfare of these passengers, as is required by Carnival Cruise Line policy. Now, I'm sure when these people got upset, they were explained the policy. I'm sure it was like, whoa, what'd you just come in our room for? We had the do not disturb sign. I'm sure they were explained why they came into their room. Now you may ask, well, how do you guys know what happened on board the ship? Well, when they wrote this comment into Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, he contacted the hotel director on board the ship and said, hey, room stewards are not just supposed to go into rooms like that. What happened? And the whole story comes out. It was a health and safety check. Now keep in mind, this is for the benefit of the passengers. Just think, what if you had slipped in the bathroom and were laying on the floor? Would you not want somebody to find you? Imagine you slipped and fell on day one. Would you not want the cabin steward to find you as quickly as possible? Or would you prefer that on a 7-day cruise, they find you on disembarkation day when they go to clean the cabin? Which of those two is really the better choice? If your loved one is having a medical emergency in their cabin and can't reach out, can't contact someone, can't yell for help, would you not like the cabin steward to at least find them as quickly as possible and get them help? Makes sense to me, right? Now, if you want to put your do not disturb sign on your door, absolutely you should do that. But you got to do a couple of things just to make sure that the cabin steward doesn't come in the room. First of all, if you have the do not disturb sign up and somebody is knocking on your door from the ship, they are not just ignoring the sign. They are now knocking for a reason. Answer the door. Simply answering the door would have alleviated this entire problem. Or when you do leave your cabin, acknowledge your room steward. Hey, how are you doing today? How are you doing? Look for them. Make sure they see you. Have a little conversation with them. Something that lets them know you are alive, you are okay, you are safe, you're enjoying your vacation. Then they won't come in your cabin just to come in your cabin when you have the do not disturb sign up. There are ways to make sure that this does not happen. So next time you go on a cruise and you want to hang up the do not disturb sign, by all means do so. Just remember, that cabin steward needs to see you, have some kind of involvement with you once every 24 hours. And that can be just them coming in and cleaning your room, because that verifies you have left the cabin and are somewhere out enjoying the ship. But if you lock yourself in your room and you don't come out and you put up that sign and nobody's seen you for 24 hours, believe me, the cruise ship is going to come and check on you. Now, I'm going to throw it out there. Has this ever happened to anybody else? Have you ever put the do not disturb sign out and had a crew member come and check on you? Do you think this is a good policy? Do you think this is a bad policy? Or do you prefer they just utterly leave you alone, and if, you know what, something happens to you, well, they'll find you on disembarkation day?